Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to another video. This is another paid request. This time for Ronald. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And Ronald wanted to get my top 10 favorite films released after the year 2000. Thought, okay, that makes things a little bit interesting because a lot of times I talk about the 80s and 90s. Don't so much talk a whole lot about films after 2000 when I consider my favorites, but I definitely found 10. I had to think about it as the ranking of each of them, but I'm trying to center on what I have now. And there's so many films out there. There may be films I forget and go, oh, I should have put that on there. So I may make that mistake here. Number 10, I put Gravity. I do love that film. It would be nice to see a 4K of that. I do have the Blu-ray. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I saw it in the theater twice. Had a wonderful experience. When I saw that experience in 3D, it felt like I was in space. I liked the survival story of being in space and the technology they had at the time, the effects they utilized at the time. Sandra Bullock, I'm a big fan of her. I think she did a bang-up job. George Clooney was great support. I mean, some people say it's predictable, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, I want the person to survive, so I'm fine with predictable. I mean, I lay 127 hours. That's definitely predictable. Granted, it's based on a real story, so it should be, but still. Yeah, I think it was a very well done, very well made. I think the musical score is beautiful. And yeah, I think the acting is solid. I fell for Sandra Bullock's character. I was with her every step of the way. I think it's a beautiful looking movie. And yeah, I saw it in 3D. One of the best theater experiences I ever had in my life. So I had to put that in the top 10 somewhere. So I put it at number 10. Number 9, Bad Boys 2. I know it's a shocker. Really? Yeah, because I'm thinking about it. A film that is just completely insane, over the top. It is an exploitation 80s canon movie done with an over 100 million. Like, if you take the insanity of a Death Wish 3 type of movie, but if they had $100 million to work with. That's kind of how I feel about Bad Boys 2. I think it's Michael Bay's most Bayist movie. Bayism. Gargantuan explosion and a half. This is with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, I think, at the top of the game in terms of their charisma. They have great rapport with each other still. I may think Bad Boys 1 is funnier, but Bad Boys 2 is just so insane, so gory, so gratuitously violent, so action-packed. I still can watch action scenes and just be amazed by just how big, explosive fueled, and usually those are reserved for superhero movies or Transformer movies. Never for like a buddy cop action film. They don't usually get this kind of budget. And Michael Bay just said, screw it, I'm going to make every scene as stylistic, very over the top, but it's like with the way the camera moves and the camera's doing these zoom ins and panning into and out of things, and there's bullets going through glass and getting into butt cheeks. There's a shootout where the camera's going through the bullet holes and going this 360 circle. I'm like, that's a different way of doing a shootout scene. To have this kind of continuous 360 thing where it's going in and out of bullet holes. I've never seen that done before. That made it unique. I think the highway chase is one of the better chase scenes, especially in the 2000s. It's like The Matrix Reloaded and this movie, like some of the better chase scenes was how much they were able to put. It was great to see Joan Pantoliano there. I liked the performance of the actress that played Martin Lawrence's sister. I'm bad with names, so I forgot her name. Even the bad guy made me chuckle. The beaches. He gets a very gory, violent comeuppance. Very un-PC. And again, I just in awe of what they got away with. The whole chase where there's bodies falling out and dead bodies and the heads are being popped off, and so the way Martin Lawrence acts and be disgusted with everything. It really feels like these characters go through the ringer throughout the course of this film. The tactical shootout bit in the mansion where they're going through this whole house, and there's a lot of CGI, but there's a lot of practical effects in there as well. Because Michael Bay had the budget for it. And while I did like Bad Boys 3, I did miss that insanity, I will admit. So, I mean, Bad Boys 2, I just thought was... That's another one I saw in theater, I think, twice. Just because I loved the insane experience. I mean, there's not many of these type of films that critics were called nihilistic. Like, that's literally some of the phrase that they used to describe that film. I mean, is it really nihilistic? I mean, it's violent. It's more violent than some horror films I've seen. People get shot in the head, people blowing up. When the bad guy brings that bucket with overfilled with blood to make the other guy sign the paper, it's like, Jesus. The fucking head fell off. I had to put that on the list. Number 8, Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. I do enjoy that comedy because the plot is so simplistic but relatable. Hey, you deal with your friend and you want to go to this fast food place. A fast food place you haven't been to in a while. I don't like White Castle. I hate their burgers because I don't like onions. And for the most part, they put onions in the burgers. I'm not a fan of that taste. So if I want burgers, I'd just rather go to Burger King. Although I probably want chicken sandwich, so I'd probably go to McDonald's for that, the French fries and chicken nuggets. Or Long John Silver's. I'd probably be like Long John Silver's for me. But again, the simple story is relatable. The chemistry between John Cho and Cal Penn are fantastic chemistry with each other. They really became a good team with each other. And I love their back and forth. I do like the second and third one, but the first one feels the like the most pure, the most fun. All the crazy, goofy, silly hijinks that happens, and between them just wanting to get their simple destination. And again, for folks that complain about progressiveness, this was pretty damn progressive. One is Korean. Cal Penn, I don't remember exact his nationality. The Indian. But I'll just look up real quick. But these two guys, and it didn't feel like a woke disaster craft fest, which I appreciate. I always forget that. Yeah, Hindu Indian. Hindu Indian. But again, just it dealt with race. It dealt with how in most movies they'd be kind of in the sidelines. But it didn't feel like it was demonizing other races. It was just... It was more about these characters and how they're still with each other. They still have fun with each other. They're still on this goal. And it's... The person they're mad at is not because of their race. It's because of their individual assholeness. And So yeah, a little bit of that deeper thought put into it, as well as being just a goofy stoner comedy with some bits that are animation sequences. I just think of like the bit where John Cho visualizes it with the cop, and the cop's like, "Bullets, my only weakness." I think the guy who directed it sadly passed away. He did Dude, Where's My Car? And just a fun film. Just a fun, entertaining film. Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. Nice little appearance by Bobby Lee. Which the DVD has a nice feature where Bobby Lee does like a driving interview with those two for this featurette. I'm not sure if it's on YouTube, but it's definitely on the DVD. I think it was on the Blu-ray as well. That's a fun featurette. Number 7, I put the Hills of Eyes remake. I know you're thinking, really, a remake? But again, that was a film I saw in the theater and was fairly impressed because I did not like the original Hills of Eyes. I don't. I think the original Hills of Eyes is poorly acted, other than Michael Berryman. I don't think it's scary. I don't think it's intense. I think that the acting and the characters are really lame in terms of the protagonists. Again, Michael Berryman is the most memorable part of that movie, but if I think of Wes Craven, I think of A Nightmare on Elm Street, Shocker, People Under the Stairs, Serpent and the Rainbow. I'm not a fan of his Hills of Eyes or Last House on the Left. I prefer the remakes. And the Hills of Eyes remake, I liked what Alexander Aja did because he definitely went more into the nuclear testing backdrop to make the mutants more grotesque, utilize more makeup effects. And it's definitely a more violent, more gory movie. I really like the lead character of Doug. Granted, there's also a personal bias because when I watched that film and went, this guy kind of looks like me. So I put myself in his position. That's when I had more of my hair, but I had the glasses and the facial, the beard, mustache. And some friends would be, hey, there's Doug from Hills of Eyes. I'm like, how's it going? So I kind of like that. Like, oh, it kind of looks like me. I'm kicking mutant ass. So anytime I watch it, those fond memories return. And it's the third act that I love the most. Because the third act becomes a spaghetti western mixed with horror, exploitation, brutally gory revenge movie. It becomes a revenge film. He acts like he's scared. He stabs through the foot. He stabs through the neck. Axe to the head. Hits this guy. Other side of the axe to the eye. Beats the head with a shotgun. Shoots him. Bullet here. Bullet there. The brutal fight before that. And the music is straight out of Ennio Morricone. Like, you listen to Tom and Dandy's Score, I guarantee you Ennio Morricone was an influence on that score. And just how triumphant and how pumped up it was. There's not that many horror films in recent years that I felt that much pumped up by protagonists going against the bad guys. But the way Alexander Aja handled it, I thought was so much more memorable, entertaining, and intense than what I saw in the original Hills of Eyes. So, Alexander Aja's direction, I think it's Aaron Stanford, that's the actor. I'm bad with names. His performance, the third act, really sold the movie for me. It put the movie over for me. Number 6, I put Taken, which I wasn't sure if I was going to put it on there, but the more I think of it, I'm like, you know what? Anytime I saw that film, I remember highly enjoying the movie Taken. because it's one of those films that I did not think I would. I didn't. I did not think I would enjoy the film. Because I heard all this hype and it's PG 13. Okay, it's now this cut's unrated, but there's not going to be a whole lot in it. But at the same time, even I watch that nowadays, it is impressive in terms of its editing and pacing. Its pacing is so well done. Liam Neeson, which nowadays, each time you see him, he's much older, so he's much more tired, he's much more slow. Hey, dude, it's okay to retire. But in 2008, 2009, somewhere around there, which, if it's 2008, that's, damn, that's almost 20 years ago, almost. That's crazy. But he feels just much more refreshed. And he handles the action scenes well. The phone call is still iconic. One of the more iconic line deliveries in the past almost 20 years. I will find you and I will kill you. The stuff between him and his daughter is a nice setup. And when it gets going, it goes. And the fighting, the action, it gave you that John Wick entertainment feeling before John Wick became a thing, 6 or so years later. Guy wanted to get his girl back, who's going into this, what you found out, a sex slavery thing. He takes no prisoners and he kills everybody. I mean, once it starts, it doesn't stop, and it's getting very well paced. There's not a whole lot of filler in that movie. And I think the director, who also did From Paris with Love, which I do enjoy that film, one of the movies, he knew how to handle the action well in that one. Then for some reason they didn't have the director bad, they got another idiot to do Taken 2 and 3, which were garbage. It didn't need sequels. But the first one I do highly enjoy. Number 5, Live Free or Die Hard. Saw that in the theater. I'm like, okay, it's PG-13. It's been so long since Die Hard with a Vengeance, and Die Hard 3 was such a great movie. And Bruce Willis, I wouldn't say he had the best track record for a while. But I mean, there'd be films I would enjoy here or there, here and there and stuff. But yes, despite the fact that it did not need to be PG-13, I know there's an unrated cut, but you could tell that the cursing was dubbed in. It's noticeable. Yes, Timothy Olyphant is not that great of a villain. I would definitely put Die Hard 1 and Die Hard 3 above it. But despite those, I still have a lot of fun with Live Free or Die Hard. I highly enjoy the premise of the cyber terrorism. I think it works. Hell, it still works in this day and age of today. And it was a refreshing way of John McClane to, okay, he's got to deal with what he thought were terrorists, but were robbers in Die Hard 1 and even Die Hard 3. Actual terrorists in Die Hard 2. Now here's terrorists, but it's a different way of doing it. So I love that back and forth of you're a Timex in a digital age, but here's a guy kicking ass, taking names. And despite what Len Wiseman has done with other films, I hated his Total Recall remake was garbage. Len Wiseman did a very nice job handling the action scenes, and also credit to the crew. There's a lot of good practical effects utilized there. Now, granted, they had this use CG manipulation to put the actors here in the same frame, but they actually took a car and made it fly and land on this car. They actually had a truck going through and knocking over cars with John McClane and Justin Long getting out of the way. You look like Bruce Willis, it looks like him on a plane, and then you have a stunt actor jump off, and you have the guy. That one shot where he slides down and the model of the plane explodes, and you see the fire pole right The fireball right behind him is like he's fallen and the fireball's right after him. I still don't know how the hell they did that. That still looks insane to me. It looks like they just took a fireball, whatever, and just shot it. And I hope you slide down as fast as you can before this fireball catches your ass. The semi truck and the fighter jet, whatever, the plane shooting at it. You see bits of the plane. Is that your best shot? And honestly, it's one of the last times Sally Bruce Willis was really gun ho in his performance. I liked him in Red. Did not mind him in Looper. Did not mind him Death Wish. Spin the Expendables. But I mean, it's either I don't mind it or I liked it. But full blown love of his energetic performance, I thought this was the last that we saw it. Where he's really spawning off his sarcasm, his one liners. I don't find my girl and get. What was it? I don't find my daughter and kill this guy. Or I don't kill this guy and find my daughter. Or I'm gonna kill all of them. Command center. It's a basement. Oh, is that your best shot? And I like Justin Long. Justin Long did not annoy me. Kevin Smith, this is before he cried in every other trailer. This is when Kevin Smith was still worth this bit. Again, each action scene I think was very well directed and handled. With used as much practical as they could. Really good stunts. When he's driving the car, he jumps out and the car flies, flips and hits the helicopter. Again, I think you have a really good set of action sequences, and you have your hero that I think this is his last great moment to shine. Does Die Hard 5, I wanted to like that movie. I even fooled myself into liking that film when I saw it in theater. When I saw it in theater, I'm like, oh yeah, I like the film. Because I wanted desperately to like it because I did not want to hate a Die Hard film. But I saw it at home, I went, no, I can't, no. I'm fooling myself. And that's bullshit. No, this sucks. But I Live Free Die Hard, I still truly enjoy. I really do. Number 4, Dredd. Gotta put Dredd on there. Saw in the theater. Did another wonderful theater experience. It was great to see in 3D. And I loved the way the future looked. I think Carl Urban was perfect as Dredd. He had the voice that was reminiscent of Cobra from Sylvester Stallone, which is how Stallone should have played it in his Judge Dredd movie, but sadly didn't. I love his weapon and the different types of weapons. His dialogue delivery. Mama's not the law. I'm the law. Nice brutal action. The slow-mo. Bullets going through cheekbones. When he's got to fight the other judges and he's getting the guy and like breaks the guy's neck. And all the other stuff he does. They made Judge Dredd a badass. The simple plot of like the Raid Redemption. I wanted to put the Raid Redemption on here because I really do enjoy it. If I had a little bit more, like top 15 would be on there. It's very similar to Dredd, and you just say, well, which ripped off which? And did you say, well, actually, they're just both being done at the same time, so one didn't really rip off the other, just two had the same idea at the same time. I do like the Raid Redemption. I would say I do like Dredd more as a full movie. But I do quite like the Raid Redemption. The fight scenes are fantastic. But again, as an overall film, I would say I still like Dredd more. I even don't mind the villain. It was Lena Headey, I believe is the actress's name. I like the slow-mo. I like his Dredd's partner. I thought she did a good job in the movie. So yeah, Dredd. I got it right there. Great movie, Dredd. And of course, we got no sequel, Sally. Number 3, I know this is a cheat, but I put the John Wick trilogy. because I didn't know what I mean. If I didn't, then three of the spots would be John Wick films, because that's how much I enjoy the John Wick trilogy. I mean, so that tells you if there's a new franchise that's my favorite after the year 2000, it would be John Wick 1, 2, and 3. Which is why I was so angry and so upset with John Wick 4, because of how much I enjoyed John Wick 1, 2, and 3. So I enjoy them as a trilogy. I love the action scenes. I like Keanu Reeves. I like the world building. I like the different types of villains. I like the fun dialogue, smart aleck villain in the first movie. So I think he had some really good line readings. It's not what you did, it's who you did it to. He's the guy you did to kill the fucking boogeyman. And then Mark Dacascos I like in part 3. I love the ending in John Wick 2 with all the mirrors and the way that was filmed. I think it was some beautiful cinematography there. Like I said, John Wick 1, 2, and 3 were just a whole lot of fun to watch. And I did. My favorite, maybe John Wick 2. But that's tough because it's hard to pick, because maybe John Wick 3 I'm leaning more towards. I don't know. It's hard to pick. But again, I like all three of them. I mean, if you've been on the channel, you know why I like them. I've talked about them tons and tons of times, so there you go. Number 2, I put Rambo 4. Had to put that in there. Once again, a great theater experience. And one of my favorite characters, John Rambo. It was a wonderful full circle. We did not need Rambo 5. It starts with him angry and upset and saying fuck the world. The locations they shot, using Burma as a backdrop with how horrible is going on in there. The bad guys, man, you just absolutely despise the bad guys. You hate the bad guys and what they're doing, how they treat people, and making people run through minefields and blowing up, and when they take over the village and they're stabbing kids and throwing them into fires. I mean, what the hell is this? Jesus. Oh my God, what the hell? It was insane, but I did enjoy. I did enjoy the retribution. Rambo's in the backdrop. Well, not really. He's focused. Yeah, that Grayson the bow where he quick shots people, shoots the guy in the head. You really feel the intensity of Rambo. He's still a man of few words, but when he says something, it's memorable. This is where it'll live for nothing or die for something. Your call. When you're pushed, killing is easy as breathing. Unlike Rambo 5, where he talked incessantly and said nothing worth a shit. One of the main problems I had with Rambo 5. And it was violent, it was gory. Yes, I wish there was less CGI and more practical. But there's some good gore in it when he's ripping out the throat, and the whole finale, the 50 caliber bit. Seeing the theater and seeing how long it went, we just turned people into bloody chunks of hamburger. And I like the supporting characters, the team he had, the sniper guy. Sorry, my nose is itching. Maybe because I'm thinking of like the bit when he shoots and the guy's head pops like a zit. Was a Schoolboy, I think was the character's name. The score, I think Brian Tyler very much honored the work of Jerry Goldsmith, which is very tough to do because Jerry Goldsmith was my favorite composer, but Brian Tyler honored him fairly well. And yeah, Rambo 4 was a great send-off. It ended perfectly. He went home It's a great full circle from the beginning of First Blood, and they ruined it with Rambo 5. Because Stallone needed another paycheck. Because he was tired of having his films go direct to video. He wanted the film go to theaters. So he thought, I'll do Rambo, because I know that will go to theaters. And I know there are people who like the film, but I think in the span of time, it will be forgotten. It'll be thought of as a forgettable entry and a forgettable finale. Not because it's racist, but because it's boring and forgettable and feels like a run-of-the-mill direct-to-video movie with some nice violence at the end, but wasn't enough to save the rest of the picture for all the other faults that had. But that's a whole other thing. So, before I get to number 1, it was Gravity, number 10, Bad Boys 2, number 9, Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle, number 8, Hills of Eyes Remake, number 7, Taken, number 6, Live Free or Die Hard, number 5, Dredd, number 4, The John Wick Trilogy, number 3, Rambo 4, number 2, and at number 1, Searching. This is a film that just caught me at the right moment in my life. I think John Cho gave a wonderful performance. I think he deserved a nomination of any sort as a father that goes through the ringer when one day his daughter's missing and he's trying to do everything he can to find his daughter, to find where his daughter went, where his daughter went missing, and just trying to find any way, shape, or form to save her life in the hope that she is still alive. I'm looking up here because I'm trying to... I know it's over here somewhere. I cannot remember where I put it, but I know it's over here somewhere. Might be on the other side, but... I love the... Oh, there it is. Okay. I loved the style it was directed in. Granted, it's a style that was done in films like Unfriended, but I thought they perfected the technique in Searching. I thought, for example, the opening, how it can show the span of time and tell a whole story about a family going through a crisis where the mom is doing fine, then she gets cancer, then she's able to fight it and it seems successful, but then it comes back, and how things are getting worse and worse. And for the most part show that with visuals. And showing the span of time with how the backdrop of the computer changes, and how these different programs that we used to have and we don't use anymore, and how websites used to look. And if you lived that time period like many people like me have lived, you could see that, and that's a very intriguing way of telling the story. And just a way of how utilizing from the computer, but this mystery of what happened, and how John Cho's just trying to do his best to solve this. And I do like John Cho as an actor, and I just realized that that's two of his films that is on this top 10 list: Searching and Harold and Kumar. So this shows I am a John Cho fan. I just think he's a good actor, and the film did make money, and obviously they did a kind of sequel called Missing, which I did not mind, but was not nearly as good as Searching. I just think it deserved a lot more recognition in terms of award season. But again, Barbie and Black Panther and these other movies are Best Picture nominees, but Searching is not. Yeah. I always want to sit people down and say, okay, I'm going to show you 3 movies. I'm going to show you Searching, Black Panther, and Barbie. I want you to tell me what the better movie is. What do you think deserves a Best Picture nominee? Be interested in those results. But with that said, yeah, I highly enjoy the film. I think it's a very... I don't know if I want to say underrated, but it just... Yeah. Just hit the right note for me in a lot of aspects. With that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.